guys, welcome back. It's Josh with the Financial Advisor Car Guy. This week we're going to talk about how to make you a millionaire. This is something that gets asked all the time at my office. I'll have prospective clients in, I'll have existing clients in, whoever, right? And they sit down and they basically say, Josh, what's the easiest way to make $1 million, right? Or Josh, I want to retire in 20 years and I need $1 million to do that. How do I get there? So I'm going to start by telling you there's a number of ways to do it. You do not have to make $1 million a year to save enough to retire with $1 million. You don't have to do anything out of the ordinary. You don't have to dig a big hole in your backyard and bury your cash. There's very simple ways to systematically save money for retirement. And whether it's inside of an account that has some tax benefit today or later or not at all, really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if $1 million threshold is what you think you need to get to retirement, I'm going to give you a couple of ways to do that. First and foremost, the most simple way to save for retirement is through your employer's work benefits. Whether that's a 401k, a 403b, a 457, some sort of deferred compensation program. Many of you might be entitled to a state type of pension. Oregon PERS is a very common conversation I have with people because we're here in Oregon. There's a number of different savings opportunities. And I would say that first and foremost, utilizing that vehicle is going to be the best way to do it. Let me start with a 401k. And actually this works for all of these, but I'm going to start by just utilizing a 401k as our example. So in 2022, you could contribute $20,500 to your 401k. Now that does not include any sort of match on the employer's end. It doesn't include any profit sharing. It doesn't include anything outside of your own paycheck deferments, okay? What that works out to be is about $1,700 a month. It's a lot of money, but if you're somebody who's making, I don't know, I would say $80,000 or more pre-tax, right? So if you're working 2,000 hours a year at roughly $40 an hour, that's an $80,000 job. If you can save roughly 25% of that amount pre-tax, again, $20,000 a year, it's only going to take you 20 years of contributing that money every year to retire with $1 million. Now, this doesn't matter if you are 19 years old or if you are 49 years old, okay? 20 years is the amount of time it takes for you to grow your money from 0 to 1 million, okay? That sounds mind-blowing, but the way this works, okay? We're gonna use round numbers. I'm gonna call it 20,000 a year, but know that last year it was 20,500 to max your 401k. If you contribute $20,000 or $1,700 a month, beginning at 20 years old, you will at 40 years old have $1 million inside that account if the market over that 20 years averages 8%. Now 8% I would say is relatively conservative over the long haul, over 20 years. There are lots of individual stock, lots of different mutual funds, all sorts of different types of investments that will do better than 8% over a 20-year span. So I want to be very conservative in these numbers because I don't want to tell you save $1,700 a month and in 20 years you're going to be a millionaire regardless. Because here's the truth. If you take that $1,700 and you bury it in your backyard every month for 20 years, you're not going to have $1 million because it's not going to have been working for you along the way. What you are relying on is a 10% annualized rate of return, meaning you're going to have growth in stocks. You're going to have maybe dividends. You're going to have capital gain payouts. You're going to have all these different sources of monies going into this account that are going to then be generating compounding interest. So your $1,700 a month, it might go up to $2,000 the day after you put it in. It might fall to $1,000 the day after you put it in. It doesn't matter. If you do that repeatedly for 20 years, your $1,700 a month will ultimately be $1 million, potentially more if you outpace that 8% rate of return. Now, many times people say we should just save 10% of our income. I would say that that's a great idea. That's a great starting point. If you can save 10% of your income, doesn't matter if you make $20,000 a year, $200,000 a year, if you can save 10%, you're gonna be doing okay. But what they failed to mention is how to invest that 10%. So what I would recommend is rather than just save 10% and put it in the bank account or in your savings account, try to do some pre-tax savings, because again, when you save 10% of your paycheck, you're generally saving money after tax. If you put money away before tax, you don't feel it quite the same way. If I save $1,000 before tax each month, if I were to take my paycheck after the 1,000 came out and goes into my 401k, my paycheck's not going to have that $1,000 on it to be taxed, okay? So it might only feel like I'm saving 600 or 700, but really I'm putting 1,000 away because there's less money to be taxed. These are all for instances, and they're not going to be totally applicable to you and your one-off situation. So if you have questions, please reach out. There are also a number of financial calculators online. I believe bankrate.com is one of the most comprehensive. You can put in how much you want to save, how often, whether it be monthly, yearly, whatever, what your annualized rate of return is for how many years, and it's going to tell you at the end, what your likely account balance would be. So again, utilizing $1,700 a month for 20 years, estimating an 8% rate of return, compounding annually, you will have just over $1 million in your 401k. Now let's take that a step further and help you diversify a little bit. So some accounts offer a Roth portion. Now a Roth is an after-tax component for retirement savings. If you look at what's called a traditional and a Roth IRA, okay? Traditional is money that goes in before tax. If you use after-tax dollars, so I get my paycheck, then I go down to my local brokerage firm and I put my $6,000 annual contribution in, that $6,000 now becomes tax deductible to me. So when I do my taxes in the spring, I can then take dollar for dollar what I contributed to that IRA off of my adjusted gross income. Exactly the opposite of that is applicable for Roth. Roth is after tax. So what happens is I get my paycheck, I go down to my brokerage firm, I put the same $6,000 into a Roth account instead of a traditional IRA. I do not get a tax benefit today, so that money is not deductible. But what ends up happening is it grows tax-free, and I get to take it out later in life completely tax-free. Meaning every time I put $6,000 in there, it's going to grow a little bit, whatever it is, with the market, with the stock market, assuming it's invested properly. And fast forward, if I'm, let's say I'm 40 years old and I want to retire at 65. In 25 years, if I've done 6,000 or ish, maybe more, every single year, same type of math, you compound it per month, per year, based on an interest rate, yada, yada, yada. And that money should be several $100,000, if not close to $1 million, because you've got what's called the taxable equivalent. This is all tax-free money. You're not going to pay tax on it. So if you get to retirement with $1 million in Roth money, you're doing okay. Now, let's say the dishwasher breaks and you need $1,000, okay? Go to your Roth account, take $1,000, go buy your dishwasher, get it installed. Come year end, you're going to get a 1099 for a Roth distribution saying you took $1,000 tax-free. You owe $0 to Uncle Sam. You're not going to have to pay any federal tax. You're not going to have to pay any state tax. It's a beautiful thing. Roth accounts are wonderful. The caveat with those is you're limited to how much you can put in. You can only do a portion or, $6,000 or $6,500 into a personal Roth IRA. Changes every year, it seems. And then once you hit 50 years of age, there's a $1,000 catch up. So for example, last year, $6,000 was the max you could put into a Roth IRA. If you're 50 or older, you can actually do another $1,000 for a total of $7,000, which is fantastic because now if you do $7,000 for the next 10 years, you're going to go from 50 to 60. You will have put in $70,000 plus the growth. A simple math formula for you guys is if you can earn 7.2%, okay, remember that, 7.2%, your money will double every 10 years. So if I put my Roth money in to an account that earns 7.2, over the course of that 10 years, my $70,000 in contributions should be worth nearly $140,000. Not too bad considering I'm not starting until I'm 50, right? Starting later in life, obviously you don't have the same time that you'd have if you're 18, 19, or 20 years old. I would absolutely recommend you start a Roth, especially important, a Roth early in life because it is tax-free in the future. So you've got to pay attention to that. And I would encourage each and every one of you watching this video to reach out or find a local financial advisor, do your own research online. If you're not already doing it, find some sort of local resource to you because it is valuable. You will not be mad that you saved a little bit of money and ultimately down the line have hopefully enormous wealth. Outside of your 401k, again, there's options for pre-tax and post-tax, but if you don't want to utilize an IRA at all, because IRAs have some stipulations, they are retirement money. If you wanted to just open an after-tax brokerage account and put money in there every month, you can still do the whole 20-year thing, have $1 million, $1,700 a month. But when you get to the end of that, what's going to have happened is all of your individual purchases, whether they be mutual funds, stocks, bonds, whatever, if they've grown in value, you will have what's called an unrealized gain, okay? Now you go to sell that and you're going to pay tax on the gain. For example, I put $10,000 into Apple stock. In 20 years, my $10,000 is worth $100,000. I sell my Apple stock. I pay tax on the difference between $10,000 that I initiated when I bought and $100,000 when I sold. That $90,000 gap is taxable to me based on other incomes. And today that might be 15%, it might be 20%, and that's going to be at a federal level. There might be some state tax too. So that's where you want to talk to a tax professional because they will be able to walk you through what that looks like. They might tell you, don't sell it all in 1 year. Don't sell it all in 2 years. Break it up. Sell bits and pieces. Or, if the market's down, sell some then so you're not realizing as much gain, whatever it is. Having professionals around you is going to be so valuable to long-term success of wealth management. So I would tell you to, again, investigate this stuff further, see what you can do. It's, if it's $1,700 a month, fantastic. In 20 years, you can have $1 million. Max your 401k. That's huge, easy advice. But again, not just anybody can max their 401k. I hate to sit here and think that every single person watching this video, is making six figures and can comfortably put $20,000 into their 401k. That's not true. Many of you might be making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. And for you to put $1,700 a month into your 401k may be a stretch. But if you're married or if you have a significant other and you guys mesh your household expenses, between the two of you, put $1,700 away. Make it so that when you get 20 years in the future, you have $1 million. And I'm not even here to tell you that $1 million is the right number. Everybody's circumstance is different. Because once you get to retirement, then you take what you have and figure out, how do I live on it without running out? Okay? $1 million is an easy number because if you need $50,000 a year to live, that's a 5% withdrawal rate. Now, if that million's invested properly, you should be able to take $50,000 a year without depleting the principal. What that means is you could get all the way to 90 years old taking $50,000 every year. Okay? $50,000 every year. On your 90th birthday, maybe you pass away, but you still have that $1 million in the bank. Pretty cool. You leave that to your heirs, you leave that however you need to, leave it to nonprofits. You can be very philanthropic, start your own foundation, whatever it is. You can do those things. But it's building that huge nest egg to begin with. That's the challenge. So when you are young, it is more important to save really rapidly as best as you can because time is on your side. You've got compounding interest for decades. I've started investment accounts for my own kids and they're teenagers and younger. And so for that sake, I'm trying to set them up so that when they get to the point of, midlife and retirement and stuff like that, they're not going to have to worry about money. They're going to have their own accounts. They're going to have plenty of it. They can live the way they want to. They're not going to be knocking on my door, Dad, I need $1,000 or whatever. I'm hoping to not have to deal with that. I'm trying to set them up to be self-sufficient in that regard. And, it's never too young to start kids on the right path. Hire them as employees, pay them money. If you can, pay them through your payroll and put 100% of their wages into a Roth IRA. You can do that for a minor. It's amazing. And I can talk to you guys deeper on that concept too. But all things being what they are, this whole video is really just designed to tell you how important it is to save. Start early or start soon. You don't need 50 years to save for retirement. I feel like so many people I meet with are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, and they're so concerned that they want to retire at 60 or 65, and they're just not going to be able to do it. And, Social Security is a very valid concern. It will always be around. Okay, I'm going to tell you that right here, right now. It's not going away, despite what you think, despite what people think and have heard. And, the truth of it is, it's never going to go away. But what's going to happen is it's going to be less meaningful, meaning cost of living raises may not be as good as they have been historically. Our dollar is going to be a lot weaker, so your money's not going to go as far. If your $2,000 a month Social Security paycheck is, $2,000 today, inflation might eat a lot of that up, okay? So it's not going to be as meaningful, which does mean you need to save on your own as aggressively as you can. So don't get to the point where you're throwing your hands up in the air and saying, I don't get it, I don't understand. Josh, you've talked about traditional IRAs, you've talked about Roth IRAs, you've talked about 401ks, other retirement platforms and pensions and all these things, and all these words are foreign. Don't get frustrated. I'm here to help. I'm here to be a resource. Feel free to ask questions. You can do that in the comments below. You can also send me an email directly. You are more than welcome to just reach out. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, here on YouTube. I'm accessible. So please ask questions. I'm here to help. My time is always free, so don't feel like you're wasting my time or anything like that. If I can help you, I want to. So with that, may every investment you make be a good one, and I'll see you next time.